at Turf Moor. Wolves are back finally after what feels like the fifth international break of the season. Obviously, it wasn't an international break, but that's kind of how it's felt. In a game, I'm actually a lot more positive than I would have been 2 weeks ago. Burnley have obviously sat their manager, Sean Dyche, which should sound like a good thing, considering how much praise he got, but considering how much we always struggle against Sean Dyche and Chris Wood, and I'm more confident now, even though I just watched their game against Southampton. They were really good, and they probably are better than they were in Dyche. But Dyche had this weird thing over us, man. And when you look at the Premier League table now, obviously this is what it was before or after the Newcastle game when we lost 1-0. I mean, everyone was doom and gloom, including myself, by the way. I think that was our worst performance of the season. But we was looking at the table and going, okay, 49 points. West Ham have got a game in hand. It's probably going to be over by the time we even get to play Burnley, really. And then Sean Dyche will slap us up, and then the last 5 games of the season kind of just peter out. And even Leicester might catch us. Obviously, that's done now. I think some people were worrying about that. But now, West Ham, obviously, they've played 2 games since then and only got a point. And now all of a sudden it's only a 3-point gap and we've got a game in hand, albeit it's against Man City. We probably won't win it. But there's a chance now. And look, do we deserve to get Europe? Probably not. West Ham, Man United, Arsenal, Tottenham are probably better sides than us. They're more equipped to get it. They've had managers for longer period of times, or had more money, or had more resources, or whatever. But we're in a position where we've got a chance. A very good one as well. At least getting 7th. We're not going to get any higher than that. And I think we should be positive. Burnley aren't a good side. There's a reason they're 18th, and I think we've done pretty well against kind of the sides in the bottom 5 generally compared to other seasons. And look, I think obviously everyone was very doom and gloom after that Newcastle game where we lost 1-0, rightly so. We were awful. I thought Bruno got it wrong. It was the first time I really questioned him on a lot of decisions. But look, in our last 5, we're better than West Ham. We've got 2 extra points. If we continue that for the rest of the season, we'll probably get Europe. And our fixtures are, I'd say, a little bit better than West Ham's. And if you look at the last 5, we beat Watford, good performance. We beat Everton, good performance. We beat Villa, good performance. Sure, we lost to Leeds. Granted, we were bad. We kind of choked a little bit at the end, but in terms of the performance, I think we were good. And we probably would have won without the red card, or maybe even got a draw or whatever. And then the Newcastle game is the only outlier. But I think we kind of just have to accept the fact that's going to happen. You can't win every game. We're not actually as good as the teams around us. When you look at expected points, we're overperforming massively. We're on 49, but we should only have 37. I think that's the biggest swing in the Premier League, apart from Brentford. So we have rode our luck a little bit, but the fact we're in this position, mainly because of Jose Sarr, let's be honest, there's a chance that we can continue doing it. Why not? But Bruno has to get the selection right. He got it wrong for me against Newcastle. It wasn't all his fault, obviously, but I think this 2 weeks would have done us good. Bit of a mental break, got some of the injured players back, I'd assume. I assume Ruben Neves will be back in the squad. I assume Dendoncker and Prudence will be back. So there's positives for me. This is the lineup I'd go with. Obviously, Jose Sarr stay in goal. I'd go back to Sace and Kilman. I know people like Willy Bolly, and there's still kind of this perception that he's our best centre-back. He's not. I've got no issue with Willy Bolly. I hope he stays. And he's a good guy to bring in if you need him. But this back 5 has been our main back 5 this season, apart from maybe Marcel. They've kind of shared that role, but this back 5 has got us here. The reason we're overperforming so much is because of our defence. It's not because of our midfield or our attack. It's because of our back 5 and goalkeeper. So I don't really get Bruno's obsession with bringing back, trying to force Willy Bolly back into it. I know Kilman had a little blip, but you're always going to expect that. And Sace had a little bit of a drop off, but not too much. And even though he didn't drop Sace anyway, he dropped Kilman. So I don't really get it. I think his height will help against Burnley if he does play Willy Bolly, but he's not that much better in the air than Roman Sace. I think he wins 0.2 more aerial duels. So he's a bit better, but not that much. And I think Sace and Kilman are probably a little bit more progressive on the ball. And they just play more. I don't really see what the point of setting the back 3 is. I don't really get why he's brought in Bolly so much. And it hasn't helped the defence at all. I'd bring Aït-Nouri back in. I've got nothing against Marcel. I think he's a useful player. He's good in certain games, like he was good against Villa. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm sure he'll go to Brazil and have a good end to his career. But Aït-Nouri is our asset. He's equally as good, if not better than Marcel. Play him, blood him, develop him for next season. And he'll probably be our number 1 anyway. I don't get the Marcel thing. If he was staying next season, fine, but he's not. He obviously won't be here next season. I just don't get it. And when you're playing Burnley, who lack pace, they're not particularly mobile. Obviously, they're a bit more open under Mike Jackson, but I think you want players like Aït-Nouri. You want an outball. You want someone who's, if you are being pegged back, can kind of take a man and progress you 10 yards up the pitch. And that's something Marcel can't do. And Rain ain't new, we can. I'd bring Semedo back in just because I've got no issue with Johnny. I think Johnny's actually been really good since he's come back. He profiles like all of our other fullbacks, really high pressure numbers, decent tackler, but low interceptions, good ball carrier, tidy on the ball, but not particularly progressive. He profiles like all of our other fullbacks since he's come back. No criticism of Johnny, but again, for me, continuity, go back to what's working. I'd say Semedo's a little bit quicker as well. Obviously, Johnny's had a goal threat since he's come back, but for me, that's more coincidence and very good finishing than. I don't think that's going to go on over a long period of time. You know what I mean? Obviously, Dendoncker comes back in. You want his height against Burnley. That's one thing they'll always have, despite who their manager is. I assume Nevers won't be back, so you stick with Moutinho. I don't like Dendoncker in midfield too, at all. I don't really like him in a 3, but I especially don't like him in a 2. But when you look at Burnley's midfield, Jack Cork, who's over midfield, Josh Brownhill, that's got no quality on the ball at all. They're hard workers and they'll put a shift in. But Dendoncker would be their best midfielder. So I've got no issues with him in this game. And then for me, I know Bruno won't do this, and I've got no issue with him not doing this, but for me, I'm not saying our attack's terrible, but it's not really. It didn't work against Newcastle. I assume Pedro Neto's not fit enough to start. If he is, then start him. Fine, no issues with that. But I'd like us to see some experiment. Out of all our wide players, it feels like Daniel Peters is the only one that can actually do something right now. I think Trincao works hard, and I completely respect that. But in terms of output on the ball, I don't think he's offering enough. As much as I think he has something about him. Same with Hwang. For me, offers nothing apart from pressing, and it's all good having a good conversion rate, but if you're not getting in good areas and the team's not getting you into good positions, there's no point playing you. For me, Fabio deserves a run. And Raul's our only goal threat and he's physical. So I think he's worth bringing in. Although I know this won't happen. So if he is going to go over front 3, I'd play Podence off the left. I'd probably just about play Trincao and then play Fabio through the middle. The reason I haven't gone with a midfield 3 is just because I think Fabio works better in a front 3. Plus, I wouldn't trust Luke Cundle against Burnley. That's not an insult. But he's not a tall guy. He didn't have a great game against Newcastle. I wouldn't really want to throw him in. Got no issues with Luke Cundle. I thought he was fine against Newcastle. He didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything right. So I'd go for front 2. Trust Podence to be, a creative hub, and kind of just see how Fabio and Raul link up. But yeah, as good as Burnley have been since Mike Jackson's come in, I still think they're a bad side, and I think we'll win this. And if we do win this, we go on level on points with West Ham, and then it kind of makes the last 5 games interesting. Of course, I think we'll have to probably beat. I think to get top 4, 7th, probably have to beat Norwich, probably have to beat Burnley, probably have to beat Brighton. Then you need probably a point against Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City. I think, watching Arsenal beat Chelsea yesterday, I think that's very possible. I don't think we'll beat Man City or Liverpool, but there's a chance. We don't really have a great record against Burnley or Brighton or Norwich, to be honest, but if we can do it, it'd be an incredible achievement. And I just hope that when we get to these final few games, we've at least got a shot. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, peace.